What if Canada, one of the closest allies of the United States, decided to ditch a $13 billion defense deal with Washington and turn to Europe instead? Sounds unbelievable, right? But that's exactly what's on the table right now. Diplomatic tensions, trade wars, and tariffs have created a rift between the two nations. Now Canada is questioning whether it should keep putting all its military eggs in the U.S. basket or look to Europe for alternatives. The stakes? Not just billions of dollars, but the future of North American defense and international relations. In this video, we're diving deep into the real reasons behind Canada's bold move, exploring the pros and cons of switching from the F-35 to European jets like the Eurofighter Typhoon or the Rafale, and breaking down what it could mean for both countries. Get ready for an eye-opening analysis. Stay tuned to find out how this dramatic decision could reshape Canada's future, and maybe even the global defense landscape. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss our latest updates. For years, Canada has maintained a close relationship with the United States, particularly in defense and trade. The two countries share not only a vast border, but also significant military cooperation. However, in recent years, these relations have been under strain. Under the Trump administration, Canada faced significant tariffs on critical sectors like steel and aluminum. These tariffs alone amounted to billions of dollars in economic damage. Additionally, the U.S. imposed taxes on Canadian agricultural products, further straining bilateral ties. But the most critical point of contention has been the F-35 fighter jet deal. The F-35 deal was set to cost Canada a whopping $13 billion, purchasing approximately 88 aircraft to modernize Canada's aging fleet. The idea was that the F-35, with its fifth-generation stealth capabilities, would put Canada in line with other U.S. allies, like the United Kingdom and Italy, all of whom are part of the joint program. However, amid trade conflicts, Canada has begun to question whether this partnership with the U.S. is still beneficial, or if it's time to look for alternatives. On March 12th, Mark Carney, a prominent Canadian economist and former governor of the Bank of Canada, stated publicly that Canada needs to reconsider its dependence on the U.S. "We cannot trust the United States on everything," Carney said, referring specifically to the F-35 purchase. His remarks echoed the sentiments of Canada's Defense Minister, Bill Blair, who, just days later, also signaled that the government was actively exploring alternatives to the F-35. This change in tone was driven by multiple factors. The tariffs and trade conflicts have eroded the sense of trust and cooperation between the two nations. Canada is now rethinking its defense strategy. In particular, they are questioning whether it makes sense to continue purchasing military hardware from a country that imposes trade barriers on their industries. The F-35 fighter jet was initially chosen for its advanced capabilities. It's a stealth aircraft with fifth-generation technology, making it one of the most cutting-edge military planes in the world. However, the F-35 is not without its problems. Its maintenance costs are notoriously high, and its performance in extreme weather conditions is still a matter of concern for many. But it's not just about the technical specifications. Canada's decision to purchase the F-35 was also part of a larger strategic goal: to be a part of a coalition of allies using the same aircraft. This would streamline operations and ensure interoperability with the U.S. military. The ease of logistics and shared training systems were major factors that made the F-35 appealing at the time. However, as U.S.-Canada relations soured, Canada started to question whether it still made sense to buy into this shared program. With tensions rising over trade disputes, Canada is now considering whether it's worth staying in a joint defense program with a country that imposes tariffs and political pressure. As the possibility of canceling the F-35 deal looms, Canada has begun looking at European alternatives, particularly the Eurofighter Typhoon and the French Rafale. These aircraft are all fourth or fourth-and-a-half generation fighters, lacking the stealth technology of the F-35, but offering other advantages. The Eurofighter Typhoon, a joint project between the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and Spain, is highly versatile, with lower maintenance costs compared to the F-35. Similarly, the French Rafale, developed by Dassault Aviation, is known for its adaptability to different climates and operational conditions. Both of these aircraft offer substantial cost benefits, which would help Canada modernize its fleet without the exorbitant costs associated with the F-35. But these alternatives don't come without their trade-offs. The lack of stealth technology means that these planes would be at a disadvantage in combat scenarios, requiring high levels of stealth. Nonetheless, with Canada's growing dissatisfaction with the U.S. and its desire to avoid being overly reliant on American defense technology, the Eurofighter and Rafale are quickly becoming serious contenders. These alternatives also offer greater independence in defense manufacturing, potentially reducing Canada's reliance on the U.S. The financial implications of this decision are enormous. The $13 billion deal to purchase F-35s is not a small sum, and canceling it would not only disrupt Canada's defense plans, but also send a strong message about the country's future relationship with the U.S. But the decision to move toward European aircraft might also have broader economic and political implications. Canada could diversify its trade relationships, possibly opening up free trade agreements with the European Union. This move could help reduce the country's reliance on U.S. markets, particularly after the uncertainty surrounding NAFTA renegotiations and the economic tensions that have followed. Moreover, Canada could strengthen its defense cooperation with countries like the United Kingdom and France, exploring joint arms development projects and cooperative defense strategies. In the long term, Canada could emerge as a more independent player on the global stage, both economically and militarily. Public opinion in Canada is also shifting. Many Canadians, particularly those affected by tariffs on dairy and steel, are angry at the U.S. for imposing these economic measures. The idea of turning to Europe for military hardware resonates with a significant portion of the population, who see it as an opportunity for Canada to stand up to U.S. pressure and assert more control over its foreign and defense policies. The role of Canadian political leaders like Mark Carney and Bill Blair is crucial in this process. Their statements and decisions will set the tone for Canada's future direction. While some in the government, such as former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, have been cautious about fully severing ties with the U.S., others argue that Canada needs to find its own way forward in this post-NAFTA era. Looking ahead, what will happen next? The potential cancellation of the F-35 deal could represent a major rupture in U.S.-Canada relations, but it's far from certain. The U.S. Department of Defense has already expressed concerns, warning that such a decision could severely damage the relationship between the two nations. However, Canada's new stance could be a tactic to force the U.S. to reconsider its trade policies, especially in light of ongoing tariff disputes. The next few months will be critical in determining whether this is a bargaining strategy or if Canada is truly ready to pivot away from the U.S. entirely. The symbolic significance of this decision cannot be underestimated. If Canada cancels the F-35 deal and shifts to European suppliers, it would mark a definitive break from the U.S. in the defense sector. This would send a strong message to both U.S. and European allies that Canada is serious about diversifying its defense strategy and no longer willing to bow to U.S. pressure. Moreover, this decision could lead to a shift in global defense alliances, with Canada strengthening its ties to European countries like the UK and France, which may open new opportunities for joint projects and further economic partnerships. As we've seen, the situation is evolving rapidly. Canada is facing a tough decision: stick with the F-35 and maintain its relationship with the U.S., or take a bold step towards Europe and redefine its defense and trade strategy. In the coming months, we'll likely see either a dramatic shift towards Europe or a return to the negotiating table with the U.S. The stakes are high, not only in terms of military hardware, but also in terms of Canada's position on the global stage. What do you think? Will Canada stick to its F-35 deal, or will the country pivot towards Europe for its military needs? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on this rapidly changing story.
Into economic instability as trade relationships, tariffs, and diplomatic exchanges could shift unexpectedly. Now, let's turn to Canada's defense strategy, a major area of change under Carney's government. The government has announced its reassessment of the $19 billion deal to purchase 88 F-35 fighter jets from the US-based Lockheed Martin. The purchase was part of Canada's effort to modernize its military capabilities, especially with regard to air defense. The decision to reconsider the deal isn't merely about military hardware. It's a sign of deepening tensions between Canada and the US. To understand the significance of this, we need to look at the broader context. Canada has already committed funds for the first 16 F-35s, due for delivery next year. But now, officials are questioning whether all 88 jets need to be F-35s, and if not, they are considering alternatives. This decision comes on the heels of a major development from Portugal, which recently abandoned its own F-35 acquisition plans due to concerns over Trump's unpredictable foreign policies. Portugal's decision sparked concerns among NATO allies, especially since Trump's policies have shown signs of deprioritizing NATO security. For Canada, which is part of NATO, this poses a serious dilemma about its own defense independence and the reliability of the US as a military partner. So, what are the alternatives? Enter Europe. In what could be seen as a historic pivot, Canada is now actively considering European fighter jets as replacements for the F-35s. The Saab Gripen, a Swedish-built multi-role fighter, is emerging as a leading contender. This aircraft is cost-effective, versatile, and suited to Canada's Arctic environment, making it an attractive alternative. Here's why this matters to everyday Canadians. The decision to explore European options represents a shift towards self-reliance in defense and closer ties with European nations. For Canadians, this could lead to new economic opportunities. The Saab Gripen, for instance, could be manufactured in Canada, creating high-tech jobs and boosting local economies. In addition to aircraft, Canada's move towards European defense partnerships could result in stronger military collaborations, which would further protect the country from external threats. The benefits aren't just abstract. They could mean improved national security, a stronger defense industry, and better jobs for the workforce. Canada's decision to look beyond the US comes at a time when European nations are dramatically increasing their defense spending. Between 2021 and 2024, European Union member states have ramped up their military budgets by over 30%, reaching approximately 326 billion euro in 2024. This is significant, and it signals that Europe is serious about strategic autonomy. For ordinary citizens in both Canada and Europe, this could mean a reduced dependence on the US for military hardware and potentially more stable regional defense. The European Union's Rearm Europe initiative, launched in March 2025, aims to mobilize 800 billion euro to strengthen the continent's defense capabilities. The goal is to achieve greater self-sufficiency, reducing reliance on US military technologies and supporting domestic defense industries. This includes building more military infrastructure and investing in new defense technologies. For Canadians, the growing strength of the European defense sector could present new opportunities for collaboration, whether it's through joint military exercises, procurement, or even technology exchange. Canada could become a more active participant in European defense networks. Now, let's explore how these changes affect everyday Canadians. The shift towards Europe and the reconsideration of the F-35 deal are not just political decisions, they have real-world consequences for economics, job markets, and national security. With the potential for Canadian defense companies to collaborate with European manufacturers, new job opportunities in the defense sector could emerge. This could lead to more high-tech jobs in aerospace and defense, creating economic stability for workers in industries like manufacturing, engineering, and technology. As Canada seeks alternative defense solutions, the re-evaluation of military procurement could impact Canada's ability to defend itself. The transition from F-35s to European options might require a period of adjustment, but it also offers Canada the chance to develop its independent military capabilities, potentially improving defense readiness. Canada's growing ties with Europe could enhance the country's standing on the global stage, offering new opportunities for diplomatic alliances, trade agreements, and military collaboration with European partners. So, what's next for Canada? The country is at a crossroads, and its future defense strategy will play a pivotal role in shaping both national security and economic growth. Canada's relationship with the US has historically been one of close cooperation, but with the changing political climate, it seems that the country is starting to diverge from its southern neighbor in meaningful ways. The decision to reconsider the F-35 deal is just one example of how global politics and local interests can converge, shaping the direction of a nation. As Mark Carney and his administration navigate these tensions, Canada's approach to military procurement, trade, and international relations will be under the microscope. For Canadians, this means staying informed and understanding the broader implications of these decisions. The choices made today will shape the future of the nation's defense, economy, and relationship with both the US and Europe. In conclusion, the world is changing, and Canada's shift towards Europe could mark a new era of self-reliance and strategic autonomy. Whether it's rejecting annexation by the US, rethinking defense deals, or deepening ties with Europe, these are decisions with real consequences. For Canadians, this means new opportunities in jobs, defense, and diplomacy, and a future that is not solely dependent on the United States. Thank you for joining us in this in-depth exploration of Canada's evolving political and defense landscape. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. How do you think Canada's relationship with Europe and the US will shape the future?